Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Since I've been talking a lot about CAYO PERICO Heist and Kosatka in my previous videos about GTA Online and how this has been a major game changer, I guess it would be fair to share with you everything I've learned about it so far. Although CAYO PERICO Heist is not a new quest by any means and has no too much room, if any, for expansion, I will guide you through everything you need to know, and I will try to cover everything, even the simple tasks, so you can be fully prepared when you embark for this adventure. In the previous videos, I've explained already how to start it, but let's run through this once again briefly. First, visit Miguel Madrazzo, or shall I say try to visit him in his mansion. You will get a message he's not home but in the Diamond Casino locker room. Then you will drive there, have the cutscene where he talks about the island and El Rubio, and in the middle of the process you will meet Dave, unfortunately. You will have the chance to get Kosatka, and since you're watching this video I think you're past this point already. So, you're going to the island for the first time now. This will be your only glamorous approach where you should do most scouting, so you won't need to do it ever again. However, there are things you'll have to do all over again and again, or maybe not, but I will explain this later in a video. What would be pros and cons of this method? Now, after Pavel contacts you, you will have to listen to his instructions where he'll guide you towards a position of the compound, but this is the same way for communication tower as well, which will be more important later. This way is going to work for you each and every time you visit the island in the future. You see this checkpoint and the guards. These have very low IQ if we pretend they are living creatures, but just as all the bots, they have their routes and they move in the same way every single time. The only variable here are guards moving in the jeeps, but you will be able to see their movement from afar, so don't worry about hiding, you will have plenty of time to do it. Now, you have one more, let's say, tricky guard to fool, and it will be this easy. As soon as he moves back, swim across and run and hide at this place. Wait for him to move back, and now you can run towards compound like this. There are more possible ways to go there, but I've taken this one for no particular reason. I can guarantee that this one will work though. Fast forward a bit and we get to move to the communication or the control tower. It will be your most important point of interest in the future. There are a few places where the communication box is, and they are randomly moved each and every time you visit, but are always inside this wire. You will have to hack it by doing basic mathematics. You have to multiply and some given numbers to get the number you see. Explanation of the signs are on your screen right now. After successful, let's call it hacking, you will scope the compound, and entry points you see will remain the same, so you won't need to browse through them again. You just need to pull up your phone and open sightseeing app Pavel sends you, or tells you you have. First 3 points are of no interest to you, so swipe to the basement where your primary target is. For the first time, it will always be in the safe, and this one is the only different target since you will have to open safe to get it. It is fairly easy and even easier than the other easy target location for picking behind the glass, since it takes less time and basically no skill. You just have to remember 3 digits Pavel sends you, and if you can't memorize them and you play on PC, worry not. Just hit T or Y, type these digits and send them, well, to yourself, so they could stay on screen for enough time for you to open the safe. All other primary targets are stored behind this glass. You will need plasma cutter to open it, and for this one, all you have to do is to balance the heat bar with page up key or R2 if on PlayStation console. Now, after you scope primary target, it would be wise to scope secondary loot as well, cause it will get you a lot of bucks as well. Never as much as the primary target, but it can get you quite a bit, and not all of the secondary targets are equally worth, of course. Gold gets you the most money, with full bag of gold worth around 500k, but you won't be able to get gold if you play alone, since you can spot gold only inside the compound behind the doors, which are opened with 2 security cards, which I will explain in a moment. You could get it solo if you spot gold in a place you can glitch in, but I wouldn't bother to do this thing. Second best prize, and you can get this one solo, is cocaine, where the full bag gets you around 450k. Other targets are on the screen, so you can figure out which secondary loot to go for. Besides this, there is an additional secondary loot hidden in the safe inside El Rubio office. You should always get it, and this amount is variable and goes anywhere between 50 and 100k. And while you're in the office, you will also be able to get Perico pistol, which is useless but still a trophy to take, so take it with you when you're already there. You can also find a special shotgun inside the compound. Now, I mentioned security cards. One is always on the table in the El Rubio's office, while the other can be taken from security guards inside the compound. Besides these cards, guards are also carrying the compound key, which opens locks, which will come in handy. You should try to get this key every time you're inside, cause it saves you time and gives you more options. So now, after you scope secondary loot, it is time for you to scope entry points. There are 5 different entry points for you to see now, and these are now in order of appearance: North Gate, North Wall, Main Gate, South Wall, and South Gate. The one entry point that serves both as compound entry point and the infiltration point as well is the drainage tunnel, and it is the trickiest one to find for beginners. I'm about to show you how to do it. Some guides say you have to take a picture of it, but that's not the case since you can't use your phone underwater. So don't worry if you didn't take the picture, you might have missed the text that appears in the bottom right corner of the screen which says you got it. You will maybe even hear Pavel saying something like, what is this, a drainage tunnel?
Wait, what is this? A tunnel? It must be some kind of drainage outlet.
But since you're searching for it for the first time, it might be a good idea to scope South Drop Zone first, since it is along the way towards the drainage tunnel behind the compound. Take a photo of construction equipment there and continue towards the water. Then dive and wait to see this text or hear Pavel talking. Next thing to scope is the main dock. Go over there, and it is very close to the party, so even if you get caught, don't worry, it will be very close for you to scope it by going the same way you went towards compound in the beginning. Main dock has a few spots where you can find secondary loot, guard clothes, and supply truck as well. Just take a photo of the dock and you are good to go. Next infiltration point is West Beach, the one where the party is, and some people say they just had to approach it and it was noted for them. If I recall, I had to take a picture of the beach on PC, but it was a while ago, and to be honest, I'm quite certain you will never use this beach as an entry point, cause it is pointless. So for now, we have 4 infiltration points and 4 more to go. We continue northbound. There, we will repeat the process we already did for the main dock, but this time we are scoping out North Dock. Pavel will also tell you to take a photo of bolt cutters. Do it because you have to, but you are not going to use them ever. And don't pick them up if you find them. You don't need them at all, since you will have cutting torch as a mandatory preparation, but we will talk about preps in a few minutes. North Dock has its loot locations, and you should scope them out, because quite often you will find cocaine there. At the dock, there's 3 places to find guard clothes as well, and in my experience, clothes will be at one of these quite often. There is a spawn location of the supply truck as well, and if you scope clothes and truck at the same place, the best idea would be to choose this location as an infiltration point, no matter if it's main dock or north dock. Before going to the airstrip, it would be wise to scope North Drop Zone, since it is along the way after all. Take a photo of this sunken boat and a hut and you are good to go. After you reach airstrip, it will be automatically added as scoped out for the approach. If you want to have it as an escape point as well, you will have to scope communication tower as a point of interest, since you'll have to disable air defenses in order to escape with the Willem parked near the hangar. Spoiler alert, you will probably never do it unless you try to prove some point to yourself or someone else. It is doable, even elite level doable, but it is pointless in all honesty. There's one more point of interest nearby, CCTV power units just behind, and you should have pictures of these as well. In all honesty, you don't have to take pictures because these will always be there, and you'll just have to approach these 2 boxes and turn the power off. Now, I know some of you noticed that I mentioned that we have 8 infiltration points, and I've covered only 7 so far. Don't worry, as soon as you get Sparrow, the last infiltration point will appear automatically, and it goes by name Halo Jump. By scoping out infiltration points, you will get escape points as well. Airstrip, North Dock, and the main dock are escape points as well, while the last one is Kosatka, which you will be able to use only if it's your approach vehicle. Now, whichever point you choose as your extraction point, you shouldn't use it. I know this sounds crazy, but if you're looking to get an additional 100k, and most beginners do, you need to perform an elite heist, and it is being done under 15 minutes as one out of 5 requirements. If you have your loot bags full, which is the second requirement for the elite challenge, after you leave the compound, follow the route I'm showing you right now. This is the fastest way to escape the island. I have tested several escape routes, and this one is by far the fastest one. If you haven't filled your loot bags, probably because of solo Kosatka approach, then choose main dock as the escape point and head over there to loot whatever you scoped and take this boat and drive away. I mean, you don't have to, but you can dive and swim away from the island, but this spot requires much bigger distance from the shore than the previous one I've showed you, so it will come in handy to use this fast dinghy to escape. Just take care of the guards in order to avoid the fuss. Even if you don't, it won't change much, but if you get hit by guards, either from the dinghies or El Rubio helicopter unit, you will lose some bucks. The rest of the required tasks in order to do Elite Heist are: do not get detected while inside the compound, 0 hacks failed, and nobody gets wasted. Fairly simple after you do this heist a few times, but still doable even if you do it for the first time. Now, what else do you care about? Secondary loot and points of interest. There are quite a few spots for you to look for, and this video would last as an average Hollywood movie if I would show you all the places scoped out live, which I could if you want me to, but I think it will be much more efficient if I show you spots on the map, so you can set your waypoints toward the place. After you get there, I don't see a possibility for you to fail to notice the thing you're looking for, and if you don't see anything there, it simply didn't spawn there, and you are not going to the wrong place, it's just not there. Loot is always inside the barrack or a hangar when outside of the compound, and I will show you just this one, which is tricky to find and might even be trickier to loot if you see coke there. While you scope it out like this, you are aware that there is no lock from this side, but after you get inside the hangar while the heist lasts, just do the same as I do and you will get there. And an advice here as well: if you go behind this little truck and climb like this, animation won't make you fall over. It doesn't mean you can't do it as soon as you get out, but I did fall over quite a few times, so I figured out to save some time by going this way. We have only points of interest remaining. You don't have to find them while scoping out the island, cause these will be there where are supposed to even if you didn't noted them. Why am I telling you this? Let's take supply truck as an example. You saw its note on the airstrip as soon as you have landed. Take this bike and I'm about to show you the fastest way I've been using to reach communication tower. This is the tricky part for you as a beginner, not for me as an experienced thief, obviously. Reaching the communication tower requires hacking again, but we've covered this before. Fast forward towards the main gate, which is a place where you can see the supply truck. If it's there, after you approach the island, you will see guards driving it around on the interactive map. This might be tricky for you, but you can ambush the guards, cancel them, and drive towards the compound. But don't forget, dressed up as a guard. Always dressed up as a guard. If you do it with your friends, all of you must be disguised in order for this to work. But if you didn't see the supply truck there, you can exclude this spot as well. So there are only 3 more places where it could be. You should go to the closest spawn point and visit main dock, but you don't see it there either. Along the way to the second spawn location nearby, you get caught by guards, either intentionally or because you're watching your cell phone or TV, or your kid is yelling he or she is hungry or thirsty, so you have to leave your favorite creation in an open site for guards to beat. No worries, you're back at the airstrip, so the north dock is very close. You go there, but you still don't see the truck at this spawn location. So, you have covered 4 out of 5 spawn locations of the supply truck. Thus, you know where it is, even if you didn't send a picture of it to Pavel. You just have to remember that after you reach the island, of course. You can exclude some secondary loot scoping out as well. As soon as you find enough cocaine stashes outside of the compound, you should focus on finding guards' clothing. But you got the point by now, I'm sure. As soon as you find enough of one group you're looking for, switch to the other to save yourself some time while scoping. Scoping CAYO PERICO will soon become terribly boring, so you will want to cut corners wherever it is possible. Trust me on this one. If you want something different than supply truck approach, which I think is the easiest one, you can go for either grappling equipment or security codes. This mentioned equipment is required in order to get into the compound by climbing along the walls. It does have spawn locations, and just like with everything else with spawns, you have to find it every time you scope the island or roam around these spots if you didn't send pics to Pavel. Other alternative I mentioned are security codes, which you'll find after you take down guards in the close proximity to the doors. No matter if you find it near north or south doors, you can enter the compound from the side you like. But why would you go from northern to southern door is really beyond me. I have a tip for you here as well. Whenever I don't go with supply truck, I go for the north doors. If I don't find security codes after I kill the last guard on this side, I just jump into the water and dive towards drainage tunnel. Just hit G before you dive, so you won't bother with air left in your character's lungs. It can be done even without it, but still, why would you bother, and even worse, die and lose 100k and another 100k because of lost elite job? So put the mask and don't risk anything here. Besides mentioned things, I have to tell you that you can actually find this little poison and spice the water supply with it, but it has no real use at all, in all honesty, so I wouldn't bother with you with this anymore. The last piece of advice while doing the heist itself is regarding hacking the fingerprint. It might look hard, but it is fairly simple in all honesty. You have 8 pieces of the puzzle, but if you know the rules, it can be done in 40 seconds. If you do the heist in hard mode, you have 4 different puzzles, where fingerprints to sort out, while the normal requires 1 less. The first fingerprint you need to hack always has first 4 pieces scattered, while last 4 are in a proper place. Next one add 5th as a random piece as well, while the third only has last 2 already in the proper place. The last one is completely messed up, but pieces always move in the same direction, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 8. You'll figure out this very simple by looking at it. After you set all of these to the first fingerprint part, you just move to the right direction until you, well, count you're at the proper place. You don't need to be forensic to figure out the fingerprint, just you need to know the rule. So far, we have covered every important aspect of the heist while on the island, but what about preparations? I've already mentioned that having Sparrow will save you enormous amount of time, but now you should think which approach vehicle to choose from the list. Some vehicles are ridiculously easy to get, like the Wooow, while a few have entire 2 missions before you have your vehicle operative. I'm talking about Stealth Annihilator and Alkonost. Both vehicles require the same. First you have to steal either helicopter or the plane, then you should do something for the pilot in order to persuade him to fly any of these for you. If you have way too much time and you're bored a lot, if you want to have both these vehicles available to you to choose from the list of the heist, and I don't see a reason besides glitching out for you to actually want this, if you got a pilot for, let's say, Alkonost, you will have just 1 prep mission for Annihilator, cause the same pilot will be available to fly both of these. Of course, you can choose only 1 approach vehicle, so that's why you should choose which one you will get in the first place. Besides mentioned flying vehicles, you can approach with 2 boats, Longfin and Patrol Boat, but quite frankly I did Patrol Boat approach just once on both platforms I play, just to get additional 250k for doing CAYO PERICO with all approach vehicles, because that's a bonus for doing this, of course. Quite frankly, Longfin approach is much better. You're disguised as the dealer, while on Patrol Boat you're not, and you move much faster in Longfin. And even though stealing Longfin is one of the hardest prep missions, getting your hands on Patrol Boat is even harder. Not worth the time, definitely. The last vehicle left for you to use is Kosatka, of course. To be able to use it, you'll have to get Sonar Jammer, which you'll have to steal from Meriwether's submarine. Sonar can be found at 4 different spots inside the sub, which shuffle in a random way, of course, and almost every time you look for it, it will be in the last place you're looking. Good tactics for this approach is to fast travel to the place where Meriwether sub is, then submerge your Kosatka and bring it close to the targeted sub, switch on autopilot to keep your sub submerged close, and then take scuba gear before leaving your sub and finally getting your hands dirty. Maybe I'm a bit too harsh. We are talking about Meriwether here, since you're basically a Robin Hood just by stealing from them. I did mention Willem approach, and this may be my favorite one. Mission for getting Willem is the same as the one for gathering intel. Kill a few guards near the Willem and fly it to the Los Santos International Airport and store it in Miguel Madrazzo's hangar. Now maybe we should talk about tactics, and even if it's not a rocket science, here are some advices on how to choose your vehicle. I will tell you about tactics if you go solo. So if you have stashes of coke near the airstrip or just guard clothes and preferably the supply truck, that's where you should go. You can get to the airstrip with Willem or Kosatka. You will go with Willem unless you really want to make yourself life much harder than it was meant to be. If you have preferably 2 cocaine piles at any of the docks, this is your go-to place, and the vehicle to use is long thin. Another reason to go for either of the docks is proximity of both guard clothes and supply truck to each other, so you can easily drive towards a place where cocaine is stashed. Driving around the island is enormously harder if you are not disguised as a guard, so you should prioritize getting guard's clothing first. When disguised, you have many options, and you don't have to go with the truck if you don't want to. You can even drive the dinghy from the north dock towards drainage tunnel and go like that if you don't want to bother with the supply truck if it's not close by. If you play solo, good idea would be to get all the secondary loot before you enter the compound, cause it will be a lot harder later. Approaching with Kosatka solo is recommended only if you get 2 paintings in El Rubio's office so you can perform the heist in under 8 minutes. In this particular situation, you will escape the compound with bag full of secondary loot and you will run towards the ocean freely. Using either Alkanost or Stealth Annihilator will get you trade price for both aircraft and will make you feel that you're in a military mission while doing this. But besides getting bonus of 250k, I've already mentioned this, for approaching the island with all vehicles, these 2 approaches will rarely be the easiest pick of the bunch. Other mandatory preparation missions are equipment related, so you have to do safe code or plasma cutter mission depending on the primary target, fingerprint cloner, and cutting torch. You don't have to do cutting torch if you're not using Kosatka, and it is not even available before drainage tunnel is scoped, but you will have to find bolt cutters and get them if you want to steal primary targets. So basically, I'm not lying to you when I say you have to do this one as well. The torch mission is very easy, can be done fast, and the torch is much faster than bolt cutters. These 3 missions have no tricks, to be honest, but I would advise you to go stealthily to steal cutting torch. Just put on the hat you find on a construction site and avoid guard cones to get the cutting torch fast. Needless to say, holster your weapons, cause it can blow your cover, you know. The last mandatory preparation mission is getting unmarked weapons for your heist. From the variety of sets offered, I prefer to use either Marksman or Conspirator loadout, but in order to have Marksman and Saboteur loadouts, you will have to buy a bunker and have Weapon Workshop. Besides getting weapon, you must buy silencers for your weapon for 5,000 bucks. Even though guards on the island are considered to be almost deaf and blind, you should still get them since it might trigger some random guard who actually is not entirely deaf. One thing to add about preparation of the heist. There is an option to hire support crew, but only one option there is important and is a must for a Willem approach actually. You can see it right now on screen. It's weapon stash and it costs 10k. If you don't take it, that first security guard will find your weapons on you and an alarm will sound. Although you can even do solo with an entire El Rubio's army on you, it can't be elite and you will lose a bit more bucks since you will be hit quite a few times while escaping with a full secondary loot bag, so getting a weapon stash will really make it much more easier for you. Other so-called support crew options are not useful at all. Airstrike, nah, triggers the alarm. Helicopter backup might be useful if you fight and don't care about stealth. Sniper will kill a target you mark, but I don't see a reason for you not to do it on your own. Recon drone is really beyond me, since you will see all guards on your own when you are close enough. Supply drop will provide a machine gun and rockets and mines, and it can be fun for Rambo approach, but I don't think you will do that quite often. The last thing for this video might be the one most of you are here for. How to keep one extraordinary heist forever and never to do preparations again. Yeah, that can be done too. It is much better on PC though, since you can get all the money and keep the heist, while on consoles you can keep the heist, but only your friends who are playing with you will get the money. It is good though if you have someone to play CAYO with, since you will get his or her heist prize while you can return the favor instantly. But important thing is that all of you should do similar thing at the same moment. Before explanation, you can see all primary targets payouts, so you can figure out which one is the worthiest of keeping in the first place, besides event related rare panther statue obviously. I will explain from the perspective of the PC players first. The heist is done, happy end. You're at the Madrazzo's mansion and the guard gives you the envelope while you hand over the bag. Pay attention now. Room for error is small, but you can still do it fairly easy. When you see the text heist passed falling, that's the moment when you unplug your Ethernet or USB cable if your cell phone is the wired hotspot, or disconnect from your Wi-Fi. If you're on the Wi-Fi, hit Alt and Enter to enter the Windows screen, thus allowing your taskbar to appear and you have the access to switch your internet off. If you did this properly, and I'm sure you did, wait until story mode loads. Hit pause, reconnect to the internet, then to your social club by hitting caps lock on your keyboard, and then in the upper portion of your monitor, hit reconnect with your left mouse click. As soon as your social club is back, go back online and voila! Visit your main deck of your Kosatka, see for yourself that the heist is again ready, while you're richer for the amount you've stole from El Rubio. The very same moment of disconnecting is valid for consoles, so as soon as you see the bodyguard turning his back on you, you should quit the game and your friend will be richer while you will keep the heist. Repeat until get banned. I'm joking. About repeating, there's one very important thing to know. It's been stated that the maximum amount of money is between the amount on screen for a period of 30 minutes. Will you ever calculate to the last digits? Kudos if you do, I know I won't. But to simplify this, if you have pink diamond and 2 stacks of coke, with the El Rubio safe money you will average around 1.92 million per heist. Even if you do get the lead bonus both times, you will be comfortably under 4.1 million, so you don't have to worry about anything. The problem might appear if you have a panther statue in the hard mode. Since it is worth 1.9 million, getting 500k on top of this can make your serial glitching quite hard. That's why you will be very happy if there's one painting in El Rubio's cabinet, so we'll run away with around 2.09 million without the lead challenge triggered, thus staying very close to the but still under the mentioned cap. If you are a person who prefers going safely, just take the statue and rob El Rubio's safe and you're good to go 100% of times. This way, this will be incredibly fast if done with Kosatka, since you will be spending around 6 minutes for each heist without loading screens, of course. Well, this video was a long one, wasn't it? But I don't think I found any guide that was even remotely this thorough when I needed one. Anyhow, I hope this one was helpful for you and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!